Hello and welcome back to the channel. Now if you've been in the Transformers community as long as I have, and here's a wee test to see if you have been. Then you'll know that topics get repeated all the time, and that's what I'm going to do today. So in this video I'm going to tell you my favourite Transformers character, and then I'm going to ask you at the end who yours is, and most importantly, why do you like he or she or they or them or whatever pronoun is relevant to your chosen character. I guess if you don't know me or are new to the Transformers community and I've just unfortunately stumbled upon my channel, you may not know who my favourite Transformers character is. Now the thumbnails obviously gave that one away, but it is Generation 1 designed Ultra Magnus. Now this figure, the Masterpiece Ultra Magnus, is my favourite figure in my collection. It has yet to be beat. A lot of people say it is now dated, and even the new version of X-Transbots doesn't appeal to me. First impressions were good, but after seeing those reviews and that horrible transformation. So this one is still to be beat, and even with the Fan Toys version coming out at some point in the distant future, I don't think it will take the top spot in my collection, because this figure represents quite a lot. This was the first figure I bought my very first convention, which was the last auto assembly, and it just holds a lot of good vibes within his plastic shell. How did I come across Ultra Magnus? Now, it was actually the Generation 1 toy that I seen before any media, and the toy itself I very rarely seen complete as a child. A lot of my school friends had bits and pieces of Ultra Magnus. There was only one really spoiled kid who had the complete version 2 of Ultra Magnus, and we were never allowed to touch it because that was his Transformer. So I always seen it at a distance. But it fascinated me. Why was this White Optimus Prime? Why did he have all this armour? It wasn't until much later when I seen the 86 movie, when it was rented for me in Ritz, of all places, which was taken over by Blockbuster in the UK, that I was really properly drawn to the character. Now in the movie, with Ultra Magnus, as well as the other new characters, they were still finding their feet and still creating, how that character will be. So while he is classed as a soldier, Optimus Prime has that confidence in him to be the leader, and we know now, obviously, spoilers if you haven't watched the 86 movie, it was a swerve for Hot Rod to become Rodimus Prime in that Luke Skywalker-esque storyline. And I just think the way he was written in the movie was just standard soldier, decompartmented everything and just had a job to do. And unfortunately, he didn't do it very well. In season 3 of the G1 cartoon, he was definitely fleshed out a lot more. You've seen that a lot of the Autobots had respect for him, some Decepticons feared him. A lot of the episodes he was spotlighted on, such as the Nightmare Planet. He had an iconic line in Fight or Flee where he tells Sandstorm to give him the bomb.
I've never seen anything this beautiful in the entire galaxy. All right, give me the bomb.
After, proclaiming how what he sees as the most beautiful thing on that entire planet, that they must blow up to stop the Decepticons from winning the day, and little other bits and pieces of information and nuggets that you found out through the season 3 series. And I think there's a lot more to explore there if it did continue. In later iterations of cartoons, such as Transformers Animated, you see the writers have definitely expanded on what took place in the G1 cartoon and made him a de facto leader, part of the elite guard in the animated series. And he was a leader, and Optimus Prime was definitely very wary of him in the cartoon, and also accepted his commanding presence. And of course, in the Transformers RID series, he was, voiced by Michael Ironside, which was really, really cool, and having the Total Recall reference of him losing his hand.
See you at the party, Richter!
later in the cartoon was just a nice touch. And then we had the other media, such as the comics. In the Generation 1 comic, he is very similarly written like the movie counterpart, because I guess that's what they were basing it on. Aware that when he fights Galvatron, he was no match for him in terms of strength, speed, and sanity, and knew the only way to beat Galvatron would be to sacrifice his life, which he does. In later publications, such as the Dreamwave, they play more into his fact that he is an Optimus Prime robot in a shell, and they reveal that in the comic panels, which I think it is a nice touch. It pays, homage to the Generation 1 toy, and tries to explain why he is just another Optimus Prime in a fancy shell. And of course, my least favourite take on Ultra Magnus was the IDW comics. It's a sort of ongoing joke in the Transformers community with me that I just do not like Minimus Ambus. I think it's a very clever idea that this robot with a wispy tash has took the dead husk of a body and pretends to be this leader to bring him back in some sort of iconic way. Now, I'm sure there's a lot more to the IDW stories, but I don't read much of the comics, to be honest. So I'm just generalising here. I'm sure you can certainly correct me in the comments. I will say, overall, with how Ultra Magnus has been portrayed in media, is they've given him a lot of backstory, they gave him different backstories, and they have fleshed him out as an all-round character. There's a lot of Transformers out there from the Generation 1 cartoon that haven't had that much character development as Ultra Magnus did. And I think that's probably what really draws me to the Ultra Magnus character overall. Now, you'll probably see behind me there's a lot of Ultra Magnus figures. That is the majority of them. I have a couple of others scattered in the collection. But with every character and every iteration of Ultra Magnus in toy form, you get some really good ones, like the MP version that I showed you, and you also get some really bad ones. But because he is my favourite character, I do want to collect as many Ultra Magnus versions as I can. However, I only collect Ultra Magnus characters that are in or similar to this design. I don't have White Primes in my collection as Ultra Magnuses, purely because the White Prime to me is what Optimus Prime looked like in the Return of Optimus Prime in the Generation 1 cartoon, when he got sprayed with the alloy to avoid getting infected by the hate plague. Overall then, the reason I like Ultra Magnus: fascinated by the toy as a child, loved how he was written in the Generation 1 cartoon as well as future iterations in animated and RID, and there's a fantastic range of toys out for him, plus the MP version of the Ultra Magnus figure just holds that special place in my collection and my heart. If you have made it to the end of this video, thank you very much for watching. Now, as I did say at the start of the video, let me know who your favourite Transformers character is and why, and also what's your favourite toy version of them and what's your least favourite. Let me know in the comment section below, or if you can, I'd love to hear a video response from you. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I will see you again soon with another. Now, if you've been doing hey, oh, is a real thing. When he got sprayed with the alloy to avoid getting infected.